There are two hormones we've talked a lot about, but there's a third that we haven't yet talked about that is very linked to these two hormones, doesn't get enough attention in women, and of course that's testosterone. So before we get into how one should think about replacing hormones, can you talk about the relationship of testosterone to women's sexual health and what's happening to testosterone levels during this transition from peri to menopause? Because, of course, I want to bring this into the HRT discussion.
So it's super interesting, and I'm very passionate about this topic. And so I think it comes from this idea that I do testosterone for men all the time, right? I'm very confident. I love prescribing testosterone for men's sexual health and actually, very interestingly enough, when we prescribe testosterone for men, remember, their gas tank doesn't get empty, it gets low, right? It's off-label. Right? We are doing off-label testosterone therapy in men, unless they have Klinefelters or some, significant medical problem. Like, we're doing off-label testosterone for men, and it's very understood. It's talked about. The FDA just 3 weeks ago removed the labeling on testosterone therapy, saying it no longer is a cardiovascular disease risk. So that's great news, right? So the thing about women and testosterone is it's actually not a menopause thing. Testosterone is an age-related decline. So in your 30s, you're starting to drop your testosterone. And testosterone, I don't know who decided that men get testosterone and women have estrogen. Like, we both have all of the, we have both of the hormones.
Sorry to interrupt. You've probably heard me make this point before because you alluded to it a few minutes ago. We measure testosterone in nanograms per deciliter. We measure estradiol in picograms per milliliter. If you normalize those to the same level, women are shocked to learn that they have 10 times the amount of testosterone in their body that they do estradiol at peak estradiol.
Way more, right?
Yeah.
And I love sharing that, right? When you put everything in the same units, we are testosterone-driven beings. Both of us, right, are testosterone-driven beings. And so it's, again, and we don't teach this to OB-GYNs. No OB-GYN knows, well, some do, but very few know about the role of testosterone in women's health. And so we love to gaslight women and say, well, if you have your period, your hormones are normal. It drives me insane. Women are told this all day, every day, is, well, you can't possibly have a hormone problem because you're getting your period regularly. And the reality is that's not true. Why? Because if no one taught that curve we were just talking about, testosterone is nowhere on that curve. And so we know there's a peak of testosterone around ovulation, right? That is nature's way of saying, let's make a baby. We know that. We know that your libido goes up around ovulation because your testosterone goes up. And so there is this age-related decline in testosterone. And here's another big problem. We give women birth control pills all the time. How does birth control work? By the way, birth control is high-dose hormone therapy. We love hormone therapy and birth control, but as soon as you become menopause, everybody's afraid of hormone therapy. It makes no sense. So birth control is high dose, I would argue, sort of the hormone therapy we're talking about in the WHI that is more synthetic, that has side effects, that have issues like that. So birth control turns off your ovaries and it adds back ethinyl estradiol and a synthetic progestin. It doesn't add back testosterone. So we are botching testosterone for women sort of for along the life cycle, to be honest. But if you take someone who's never been on birth control, their testosterone starts to drop in their 30s. So what are they complaining about? It's not just a libido thing. We know there are testosterone receptors all throughout the genitals and the urinary tract. So we see women have an increased risk of UTIs. We see an increased risk of pain with intercourse or pelvic pain conditions. We see there are some studies that indicate potentially depression and anxiety can increase because we do think there's a testosterone effects on the brain. But we have global consensus. And I don't know if you've read the news lately, Peter, but we don't agree on too much as a globe. But there is global consensus that testosterone in women works for low libido. And so specifically the data is on postmenopausal women. That's where the global consensus is. But there is data in perimenopause and much smaller studies on before that. So, but the consensus is it works. But everyone has emotions about testosterone. I don't know. I didn't think testosterone was a feeling, but apparently it is a feeling for people because people hate talking about it. And again, nobody taught you how to prescribe it. So people are, and there's no FDA approved product for women, except in Australia, it's approved by their governing body. And so you have a lost art of knowing how to give people back testosterone when they are symptomatic.
And I think this is an area where women sometimes are also a bit concerned about what happens if I take testosterone, because testosterone, understandably, conjures up images of all sorts of things, from large muscles, big mustaches, lots of, other things. So how do you talk to women about this? We enjoy having these discussions and also acknowledging side effects, right? Like the most common side effect we see in women is acne, right? And I don't think I've ever gotten to the point where I've seen any of the really dramatic side effects. But I do tell women, I say, look, there's a decent chance if you were shaving your legs every 5 days, you're going to be shaving them every 3 days. That's a chance. If you were kind of susceptible to acne growing up, you might get a little bit more of it, and we'll have to back off. But how do you talk about the risks of testosterone therapy?
I love talking about this, and I'm actually grateful for celebrities, because just in the news in the past few weeks, Halle Berry says she's on testosterone. Kate Winslet says she's on testosterone therapy, and they look pretty amazing to me, and they don't look androgenized at all. And so I actually want to do this study. It's something my research team's working on. Is I think I have more patients who never start testosterone therapy because of the fear of side effects than actually stop testosterone therapy because of the side effects. That's my sort of observation in doing a lot of this. Now, when we talk about side effects, I tell them, think about a horny teenager. They have these great libidos, but they have some oily skin, acne, but that's when you get really high with your doses. We really don't see it clinically. Yes, I tell them to put I use FDA-approved testosterone for men, just at doses kind of 1/10 the dose in a way. They rub it on their leg, because if they do get hair on their leg, people are used to having hair on their leg. And so they shave it, they wax it, they laser it, whatever it is that they do with hair, with leg hair. I don't have that many patients stop for acne, oily skin. Again, I think there's that fear when you get really high in the dose. So I'm not a pellet promoter or user, because you get super physiologic levels, and I can't take it out if you get a pellet put in. And so if you have deepening voice or clitoromegaly or, a hair issues, these are the challenges with some of these super physiologic levels. But when we're using sort of reasonably dosed level, like topicals, we really see magic happen. And I can't tell you, when we get estrogen and progesterone right for our patients, it is by adding that third piece, that testosterone, because your ovary it probably does more than 3 things, but at this point, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. When we add that testosterone piece, it's wild. All the patients come back and they say to me, wow, I feel like me again. It's wild, right? That's the piece. Wow, I didn't realize how badly I felt. Wow, that was the missing piece. I hear it over and over and over again. I can't not want that for all women, right? I can't not want to give them that as an option on the menu.
I'm Peter Attia. This podcast relies exclusively on premium subscribers for support, which allows us to provide all our content without taking a single penny from advertisers. I believe this keeps my content honest, making it a trusted resource for listeners like you. As a premium member, you'll get immediate access to our entire back catalog of AMA episodes and all future AMA episodes. You'll get longevity-focused premium articles packed with actionable insights. You'll get unrivaled show notes for each and every episode of The Drive, every topic, every study, every resource from each episode carefully curated for you. You'll get quarterly podcast summaries where you'll learn my biggest personal takeaways from the previous 90 days of expert guest episodes, and much more. This journey doesn't have to be navigated alone. We can take these steps towards a better, longer life together. Become a premium member today at peterattiamd.com/subscribe to join me in a shared commitment to a healthier future.